O the swakbel. O suklelan. Kami warnarabu taselul sumutra ultas. Ida albara kadul mor telangara alama. O dotorgo klaunir ole lagat maklelaula. Alme labik blue yang.
The Ngerikill watershed is located on the island of Bawaldab in the Palau state of Irai. It provides fresh water to approximately 80% of the population of Palau and the many international tourists visiting the island group each year. Given the importance of the Ngerikill watershed to the livelihoods of so many Palauans, improved water quality is a high priority for local and national government. With the support of the Global Environment Facility and the Pacific Islands Applied Geosciences Commission, or SOPAC, Palau's Environmental Quality Protection Board has embarked on a 5-year demonstration project to restore the Ngerikill watershed for improved water quality. This project is developing integrated water resource management in the Ngerikill watershed and promotes the concept that water is everybody's business. From ridge to reef and from community to cabinet. On the 27th of July 2010, 23 specialists from the Pacific Islands region and the International Water Center visited the Ngerikill watershed to share knowledge on watershed management and how it can be applied in Palau.
We've come up the east coast, we've come north up the east coast from Karor, and we're now in the bay that is at the mouth of the catchment that we're going to be in all day, the Ngerikill catchment. And this, which is the main island, which is what I call Babelldale, and that's by far the biggest island and has by far the biggest water resource for the whole country. So we have corals out behind us. It looks like we have soft sediment here. Do you think the water is as clear here as it was everywhere else you've been? No. Not really, because funnily enough, everywhere else in Palau the water is really crystal clear. And all of a sudden it's like normal life where I come from, where the water's, you can still see through it, but there's a greenish tinge. And we can see little bits of seagrass under us, which is a habitat you now know a fair bit about from last night. So let's just put it in perspective. We have the coral out behind us. About half of the economy of the country, very roughly, depends on tourism. It's in some way related to tourism. And when you think why tourists come here, it's not for the mangroves, it's not for the seagrass, it's not even for the crocodiles, it's for the coral. And so that's the golden goose that we really don't want to kill, if you know that saying. So that's why people are coming here, and that's the greatest indicator of all. If there's something healthy out there and under us here with seagrass and so on, then we must be doing a lot right in the catchment.
The main watershed problem investigated by the group included the sedimentation of the Ngerikill River and Bay, caused by poor erosion controls, the destruction of riparian buffers, and poor land use practices. This sedimentation has led to an increasing need for the Irai Karor water treatment facility to use more chemicals to clean water and to use disinfectants to ensure the water from Palau's main water supply is safe to drink. It also impacts on coastal water quality and smothers seagrass and coral reef habitats. This and the role of mangrove ecosystems in filtering river water from the Ngerikill watershed was highlighted.
The number of species of mangrove, the number of plant species that we call mangroves here, is really quite extraordinary. This will be between 10 and 20 species just here in the forest around us. So, and you can see it in the leaf type, and remember the root type. The aerial roots give away what genus we're in. So this is where mangroves are at their best, where there's what we call brackish water, a mixture between saltwater and freshwater. Some scientists came to these waters out here and looked and saw that the bay wasn't going too well. And so they did a fairly thorough study of the sediment that was coming out of this Ngerikill catchment and how much arrived at the top of the mangroves, which is essentially the bottom of the freshwater part of the river. And then they asked, and how much gets out there to the other side of the mangroves? And the difference between the two is whatever's trapped in here. Would you agree? And what they found were two extraordinary facts. One is they found that the amount of sediment entering the top of the mangroves was 20-fold greater than in the other catchment. Yeah? So this is 2,000% more just by doing a little bit of stuff in the catchment. Just think about that. And then they worked out that the percentage of sediment trapped was almost identical. The percentage of sediment trapped, notice, not the quantity, but the percentage of sediment trapped. So of all the sediment that starts on the way upstream that arrives out in the bay, the mangroves remove approximately 30% of the sediment.
I was doing some work in New Caledonia, and just something that I was observing while I was there, that local developers had come in to build a very nice new kind of middle-class suburb along one of the back bays of Noumea, and had built all of these lovely French villas for the white settlers who live in New Caledonia to live in, and to make the area sufficiently attractive to middle-class people to invest. They'd actually cleared the mangroves directly in front of the bay so that the people had direct access to the beach and then could take their boats out into the bay. Within 2 years, the algal bloom in that bay was so strong it had actually covered the top of the bay in a green carpet, and the stench from the algal bloom was so dramatic that it had actually dropped the values of all of these really nice villas that had been built around the bay. So I think it just links in as an anecdotal example from the Pacific of developers coming in, not thinking through the ecological impact of what it is that they're doing, not thinking through the issues of what's going to be washed down from volcanic soil onto a beach, and the work that mangroves do to retain health along the coastline. And since that time, the local authorities have been replanting mangroves in the area in an attempt to stabilise the coastline.
The clearing of forests for developments in agricultural farming are the main causes of the 20-fold increase in sediment loads of the Ngerikill River observed in recent years. The fact that Ngerikill is Palau's most developed watershed, it is critical that effective measures be put in place to curb this degradation of watershed health. The group made its way up into the catchment to investigate these issues.
If we start keeping all these important things, then we will be able to sustain, especially the quality and the quantity of water for human consumption like this.
Efforts of the EQPB IWRM demonstration project to restore the Ngerikill watershed include development of best land use practices to reduce pollutant loading in the Ngerikill River, establishment of buffer zones for pollutant reduction, revegetation of riparian zones to trap sediment from runoff, and management of stormwater runoff, particularly that associated with developments and roads. This work will ultimately lead to the development of a management plan for the Ngerikill watershed, which takes into account the environmental and social cost of continued degradation of the watershed versus the benefits of improved management practices.
We have all sorts of activities up there, and I think Mayang and I have been talking, and I think before we really start doing any work up there, we need to consult the community and ask them, how clean do you want your water to be? What do you want to do with the water that's coming down the river? And I think just from conversations with the community, we can determine what we would consider an adequate buffer size.
In the shorter term, it is hoped this will lead to decreased water treatment costs, and in the long term, improved ecosystem health from the watershed and out to Palau's world-famous coral reefs.
Joe.
us palrarobuil mar yang aru ear adabol ngilmia leos yang kol tare man meskidak lisi madora elet malbiyam. Thank you very much.